Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It is our first Monday of our first full week of the month of October. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time, right around 8 a.m. or a minute or so before Central, that is. And we talk about tactics, techniques, strategies, success stories, and to support you. On today's agenda, we have two different topics, largely unrelated, but neither of them would have taken the full amount of time. So on the left-hand side of my screen, you should see our agenda. And then on the right-hand side, I'm sharing a browser, and this is our second topic, a very big deal that we want to talk about. And for any of you that have started using RealXTraffic since we introduced it over the weekend, if you wouldn't mind putting into the chat, into the question and answer, the types of results that you're seeing so far. So Pauline, I know that you've been active, several of you have, but if you'll put in your results so far, I'll reference that here in a moment. Okay, so we are on October 4th. We have two topics that we're going to talk about today. The first of which is very important. And so it's to understand the reconciliation process. You will be receiving contact from us, from our compliance department, because we're going to be reconciling your white label clients. So we're going to dig into what that means and why that's relevant and how it helps all of us. So, for instance, each month we know that you're submitting in white label clients, and you're doing that properly using the training that we've provided. We need to take a look at where those clients are, make sure that they're performing, make sure that they're moving forward, because that's what they would expect. And then that also keeps you and us on track. We're also looking specifically to see if they have submitted their refundable deposit. Now, frankly, the deposit could be refundable or non-refundable. That's up to you as a white label partner. Most of us use the flat $2,500 amount for the deposit amount. I know some of you make it larger. Some may even make it smaller. So let's just review briefly what happens leading up to this point. So you've submitted a client on the iimfl.org website on the white label page. You've already contracted them. You've submitted them on the white label client submission. We will send a setup email confirmation to you to let you know, yep, we received that client. We're processing them. We will send them the funding application in a white label format via Adobe and copy you on that. They need to fill that out, right? Because there is no funding if we don't have some data about them, because our goal is to get their first tranche of financing very quickly. So that Adobe goes out to them, you're copied on it, they fill that out, hopefully quickly, and then within 24 hours, we can get them funding offers. We can get 100%, we can get every client a funding offer, regardless of credit, income, or collateral. Now, the funding offer they get will be based upon their specifics, and so that's where we're at here. So for their refundable deposit, there's really three categories of where the money may come from for that first round. Preferably, they will receive cash funding via first tranche financing. And so that could be 5,000 cash, that could be 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, could be 40,000, 50,000. It'll vary by person. But of course, the amount of cash funding that someone gets is based upon their fundability. They've just come into the system. We've not built their loan package out yet. We're not to that point. We're just taking them where they are now and trying to get them an immediate injection of cash, first tranche financing. And ideally, we need at least enough to cover the refundable deposit, which for most of you, again, is $2,500. So that works out really sweet. Now, not everyone gets a cash funding offer because they've not managed their 3 C's well. Their cash flow, their credit, their collateral. That's, again, not a reflection on you or us. That's wherever they're coming from in life when they first come to us. But preferably, they'll get a cash funding offer, and that means that money is wired into their account, and then they will pay you the deposit. They'll pay you the $2,500. It's sweet. So that's the preferred model, right? Some people don't qualify for cash funding, as I mentioned, and so we have a guaranteed financing. It's kind of a credit builder loan. It's $2,500, so it's specifically enough to cover that refundable deposit, reports to their credit positively, so it's building their credit, allows them to remain compliant, and we can move on in building their loan package. The third option is other. So some people say, no, I don't want any of that cash funding right now. I don't want that $2,500 financing. I'll just pay other. And so sometimes they'll just pay out of pocket, or maybe they got a good deal with their credit union and they just, they go get a 0% advancement from their credit union, whatever. It's anything other than the first two. So as long as the clients that you've submitted on the white label client submission form pay their deposit, so you get paid quickly, I mean, within a reasonable amount of time through any of these three sources, then we're good. Now we're moving forward with the client. The point that we have right now is, what do we do with those clients that don't do that? They either don't accept a cash funding offer, or maybe they didn't get a cash funding offer and they didn't agree to the $2,500 financing and they didn't make other arrangements to pay. What happens then? Because now we've got a problem. We've got a client that's been submitted, that's been set up, that's not performing. So that takes us to the second sub bullet here. So if the client, and so we'll be doing the reconciliation, our compliance team will be reaching out to you. So when we find that there's clients that didn't any of the three above, so they were submitted, but they've not paid their deposit through any of those three, then we need to work with you to figure out what we're going to do, right? Because what you know is when you set someone up, you submit them to us, we know that we're going to receive $1,250 through one of these three means, and you're going to receive $1,250 because we split the $2,500 50-50 as a white label partner. So we've got to resolve it if they've not done any of these three items. So that's what the primary point, all of that was really a setup of, well, what happens then? So let's talk about that. Well, we recommend that if your client has been submitted, they've been onboarded, they didn't do any of these three, we recommend first off that you invoice them. Now, we recommend using QuickBooks. We have no financial interest in QuickBooks. QuickBooks is probably the most widely used small business accounting software, but you can do whatever you want. You can develop an informal or a formal invoice, Excel, QuickBooks, Peachtree, whatever you want to do. But if you're using our standard agreement template, which you're not required to, it states that the client has a daily $50 late fee for a lack of payment. That's important, right? Because if they don't have some stick to cause them to focus on doing one of these three items, then time's on their side, right? They're in no hurry. They got other things going on. It doesn't matter. But if every day after you've invoiced them that they have not done one of these three things, then they're incurring $50 a day late fees. So think about that. In 1 month, that's $1,500 in late fees. In 2 months, it's now exceeded what their deposit would have been. And of course, the late fees are not refundable. So again, you're the white label partner. You can decide if you want your clients to have late fees or not. But our experience is if you don't put a late fee in, you give them a little grace period after the invoice, normally 2 days. But if they don't pay after that, then we would encourage you to consider daily late fees because it rewards you for their tardiness, but most importantly, it motivates them not to just sit on it. We've got one white label partner, Wesley. I don't know if he's on here or not. Let me scroll down. He's not on live, but Wesley's got a client and client came aboard and quickly we got that client cash funded quickly, which is great, right? So we let Wesley know, hey, Wesley, great news. Your client got cash funding. Go ahead and invoice, get that deposit. Well, Wesley talked to the client. Client had a little bit of a sob story, and Wesley said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll worry about it later. And we're like, Wesley, what do you do? Because I mean, if you as a white label partner, Wesley included, if you don't want to focus on collecting money owed to you, especially from a cash capital raise, I guess that's your choice. But that doesn't mean that Wesley's obligation to us has been changed. So now Wesley has an invoice with $50 late fees because he told the client, never mind, we'll worry about it later. So if the client's not paying you, then we're not going to come after you unless you're saying, hey, client, don't worry about it, because now there's a disconnect. So if the client stiffs you, we're going to talk about ways to resolve it. You won't be upside down. But if you just tell the client, never mind, that doesn't mean that your 50% payment to us that you promised to pay when you become a white label partner goes away. So just keep that in mind. Recommend don't be a Wesley. Now, let's say that the client doesn't participate. Either they've received cash funding like Wesley's client and they don't pay, or they don't agree to the $2,500 financing, then they've not paid other ways. What happens then? Well, we're going to work together to resolve it, right? Because we're both in this together. We're not going to do anything that's to your detriment. So you can offer to the client some ways to resolve it, right? Of course, the easiest way for them to resolve it is to get them set up on the $2,500 financing, because it's 100% accepted. There's no minimum credit score, no credit check, no verification of income. There's no reason that any person can't comply when we have this safety net financing. But essentially, you as a white label partner need to decide, what are you going to do? So you could either send their file to a collection agency. If you do that, we're not going to come after that $1,250 from you. You've not received it. We don't want you to be upside down. So then we will flag the file as pending, and we'll know that it's with the collection agency. We'll just communicate. And once that collection agency collects from that client, then we can reconcile later. So again, it doesn't put you at a disadvantage. Alternatively, you could just turn around and file small claims suit against the client if they fail to perform as agreed. You don't have to send them to collection agency. You don't have to file small claims suit against them. We're just talking about what are common resolutions. And actually tomorrow we're going to have a deeper discussion on these strategies, because I can tell you in some cases you can skip small claims, possibly go to county court, and it could be that there could be criminal charges against the individual as well as civil. So civil means they just didn't pay you, but it's possible, depending upon the circumstances, that they could be liable criminally. And if they're liable criminally, then they'll be arrested, right? There'll be a not search warrant, but a warrant. They'll be arrested, and then they'll have both civil and criminal issues to deal with. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So if they're not paying you, you could send them to a collection agency. You could file small claims suit or more, or you could just sell the debt. You could say, you know what, I want to wash my hands of it. I've got this person, they've breached, they're not participating, they're not paying. I don't want to have to deal with it. I don't want to have to be the bad guy. Just sell the debt. And so you can do that. We have debt buyers. And so we've talked about that before. And so if you have, and we would call that a non-performing debt. So it's not really like selling invoices of pending money. This is what you would call non-performing debt. People are not paying as agreed. So if you want us to consider facilitating a sale of any of your non-performing debt to get you out of that, that is fine. You're going to actually send the client agreement over to the compliance email. They're going to review that agreement and see if they can facilitate a sale, because depending upon how you contracted with the client, that may be a sellable debt or it might not be a sellable debt. They need to see the actual agreement. But if it's all good, then we can facilitate a sale and you'll make a quick $1,250 off of it. So non-performing debt, non-performing agreements still have value. Obviously, it's not the same value as a performing agreement, like if you're selling outstanding invoices that are in good standing. So before we move on to the second topic, let's summarize the first. As white label clients, we know that you're going to be generating at least 8 deals a month. That's the promise that we've made to each other, right? 2 a week on average, but 8 in a month after an initial month grace period to ramp up. We are here to help you do that. That should never be a stressor or a concern. You could have a 9th grade education and a sub-average IQ and go out and generate 10 deals a month. So we're not worried about you meeting the volume standards unless, I guess, you're just not engaged. But of those that do enroll, then we need to be working on helping them get their deposit submitted into you, because that's generating money. And with that, then we've talked about the 3 ways that they normally would fund their deposit. Ideally, they'd fill out the app, we get them approved for cash funding, they get the money wired, you invoice them, and they pay you the $2,500 or whatever amount you've decided. If they can't get approved for cash funding, not a worry. We've got guaranteed approval financing called credit building. A credit builder reports to the credit bureaus, builds their credit, and then that pays out over time. Or they could just pay some other way or out of pocket, which isn't our preference, but some people do that. If they don't do any of those 3 things, then we need to resolve that. And then you need to decide as a white label partner how you want to resolve that. The most common ways to resolve it is you submit them to a collection agency that trashes their credit, and it can be a good motivator. You could sue them. And I tell you what, when that sheriff comes knocking on the door at their work or at their home, serving them papers, that lets them know that you mean business, that they have an executed agreement. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Or if you just want to remove yourself from it, we can look at selling the debt. So before I get down to the second topic on generating leads, who has questions on this reconciliation process? All right, so John, good morning, John. Thank you for the song. He says, with the $2,500 financing, okay, so if we're doing the $2,500 financing, this is what we would consider second chance financing, John. So this means the person didn't have enough qualifications of their 3 C's to get cash funding. So now we're using like safety net financing. This does not pay us in advance. It doesn't. It pays us out monthly. They invoice the client each month, the client pays each month, and then they pay us so we can split it. So it's important to understand that this takes a while to get paid out. It's not our preference, but in some cases, that's all that is available. But it's important to understand you nor us get paid in advance on this, where cash funding, or typically the third option, is getting you the full $2,500 upfront. Very good question, John. Now, again, if someone just needs this financing, it's all they qualify for, it's fine. We're not going to guilt them or make them uncomfortable. Let's get them set up on that, and then let's work with them to address their fundability. Typically, that is resolved by getting them into the total credit rebuild, because there's something about their profile that's not making them fundable, either their credit, their cash flow, or their collateral. And so you and I have the tools to assist them with that. Okay, so we covered John's question. Okay, Pierre asked, if you use the debt buyer, which was down here, debt buyer. So Pierre asked, so in this case, we would expect, and you would always, control it. You got to decide if you want to sell the debt or not. It's an agreement that the client has with you. It's an asset of yours. It's a receivable of yours. But typically, the offer will be $1,250 to you, and so then you can accept that or not, because you always have other ways to collect. And of course, the best way to collect from them is just for them to perform, right? We don't want it to go ugly. We want them to be involved. And so what we say is we'll help you get first tranche financing, and then from that, you'll pay the deposit. So I guess I think Pierre brings up a good point. It could be that any of this happens and they say, oh, well, I'd rather get back involved. I want to be in good standing. Well, great. Then accept the cash funding offer that was made to you, or accept the $2,500 financing, or pay your outstanding invoice, whatever the case may be. Thank you for that, Pierre. And Pete's right. So if we're selling the non-performing debt, then the 1250 offsets the balance, so that way you're clear. So that's an easy out. So you're not getting stacked up with non-performing clients. That's right, Pete. All right, so Zahn asked, can we do the second chance financing, which I think is this, for the TCR? Yes, absolutely, Zahn, absolutely. So when people are coming into the total credit rebuild, one element that you all probably should know is that you get the opportunity to decide how much you want to make off of each total credit rebuild enrollment. The normal range is as little as 100 or as much as 1,000. You decide that. And then we can finance the total credit rebuild. The total credit rebuild has monthly payments that are typically $90.74 a month, so very affordable. So you're right, if someone falls into this category because they didn't qualify for cash funding, we'll want to go ahead and get this financing, but we'll probably want to go ahead and see if we can get them into TCR to get them better prepared for future rounds of funding. Okay, so thank you, Zahn, for that. All right, Spencer, we've covered his. Ben's asking, so the 1250, if you are receiving 1250 for the non-performing debt, that is not split. That's 100% yours. That is your asset that you're selling. So thank you, Ben, for that clarification. All right, and Dion's got the last question, then we'll get down to the second agenda item, which is an important one. All right, so Dion is asking, I'm going to paraphrase it just to make it simpler. If you're an affiliate and refer someone in that does not perform, then it's not your burden. If you're a white label partner, then you have the agreement with them. We have the white label partnership agreement with you, then we have to resolve it. But the short answer to Dion's question for everyone is, if you're an affiliate or you've submitted someone in as an affiliate, then frankly, none of this is of your concern. It's easier, but you have less involvement, less income. Okay, so let's move on to the second agenda item, which is probably why a lot of you are here today. And it's just to do a quick recap, and then I'll drill in to RealXTraffic. So there are four main ways that we've seen that our distribution partners are generating leads for access to capital. You could go out and teach. You could teach in person or online, and there's information about that on the white label page. You can go out and generate your own leads, and some of you are very good about that. We can buy leads, and that's our topic today, and which I'll come back to. And then we also have talked a lot over the past week or two about developing an affiliate network for referrals, and that is a smart thing to do. But in terms of buying leads, Pauline and others, and Pauline, again, you're online here, if you don't mind sharing with us what type of success you've seen so far. I believe what Pauline had emailed me over the weekend, she was excited, and I believe that she generated about 100 leads over the weekend. So RealXTraffic is one example of how you can go buy leads. So again, I have no financial interest in RealXTraffic. I don't know Frank and Bia. They seem like lovely people. All I know is a number of you are working with them, and I'm just sharing with you a best practice. I have no financial interest or relationship with them. So if you go to RealXTraffic, you'll see the same page, and it talks about how they're credible, talks about how they go about generating leads, and you can go through and read it, but they generate the traffic. Now, they're typically generating traffic to your landing page. So if you don't have a landing page in place, then there tends to be a problem, right? So we need a landing page to drive people to for, I believe, for RealXTraffic to work. Scott, Our chief marketing officer knows much more about this. You can email him for more details. So it could be that I don't know what I don't know, but it's my understanding that you'll need to have a landing page to drive people to. If you're an affiliate, we provide landing pages for free. If you're a white label partner, then you'll want to have a landing page that's, of course, branded to you because it's your clients. But the point is, these folks can generate some incredible traffic. They talk about why their traffic's different. I am not an expert in these areas. I can't evaluate it. I'm just sharing the message with you. If they offer guarantees, which people like, and then in terms of pricing, which we get no part of, we have no financial interest. We can't get you a cheaper deal. We don't get any money back from them. But you can see it's pretty cheap, right? You can spend $90 with them and get 200 clicks. So what is a click? So they do their magic, and I don't even know how that works, but they do their magic to promote, and they're driving people to your landing page. So this would mean 200 people went to your landing page. I can tell you from our experience of those of you that we know that are using RealXTraffic, and there may be many of you that are using it we don't even know, but it's been around a 50% conversion rate by driving people to a well-designed landing page. So I'm not promising that you'll get that, but if you have a good landing page set up the way Scott can help you, our historical average has been around half. So for $90, if you use that math, you could reasonably generate 200 clicks, which should generate around 100 clients. 100 clients for $90? What is the math on that? Is that like 90 cents a piece or something? And these are clients that have enrolled in Access to Capital, that now you can go into your QuickBooks and put in 12,500 accounts receivable, because all those people are going to owe you the $2,500 deposit. All of them are going to owe you the performance fee, assuming 10%. I mean, I don't know that it gets better than this. So I just wanted to clarify this with you, and they have different packages. You can, and it gets bigger, and I guess what happens is that the click price goes down. I don't know about all this. I'm not an expert. I'm not even proficient in it. But what I can tell you, and I've got a bunch of success stories, is we're seeing real immediate success from those of you that are using this. So I encourage you to consider the fact that we want to generate leads. There's 4 different ways to generate leads, and this is one example of how you could go about doing it. But this will only work, to the best of my knowledge, if you have a good landing page that those clicks are coming through. And that's where Scott can help you develop a landing page that has that drip campaign, because not everyone will sign up immediately. When I tell you that 50% on average have signed up, to the best of my knowledge, that's true. But that doesn't mean that all of them sign up immediately. So they click through, and then now you've captured some information about them. So what you want to do is work with Scott or whomever your resource is to develop a drip marketing campaign, because some people will need some follow-ups. If all you do is have one exposure, then without that follow-up, that drip marketing campaign, you're going to recognize a lower conversion ratio. Okay, so who has questions this morning on RealXTraffic, to the limited extent I can answer it, or more broadly, generating leads? Who has questions? So we'll just go ahead and type. Zach, I see you have a question. If you'll type it into the question and answer. It's crucial that you understand, if you're a white label partner, and I'll even pull it up, you need to submit leads properly for them to be considered a white label client. So on the white label page, this is what I made reference to earlier. This is where there's lots of information. This is where you sign up to be a white label partner, free and easy if you've not done so. And this should all, yes, it's going to populate. There's the training on here that you should go through, but I'm not trying to reiterate that. Here's that submission form we talked about. So if you're a white label partner, you submit your leads here. If you're submitting them somewhere else, anywhere else, they're not coming through as a white label client. They're coming through as an affiliate client. And so you're not going to be in the flow. You're not going to be in the know. You're not going to receive as much compensation, because our white label partners, we do a 50-50 split with. So please be cognizant. And we reiterate that in the onboarding training that's on the bottom. We reiterate that on the onboarding training that's at the top. I mean, we've created bookends to say, please understand that as a white label partner, you take your prospect, you get them under agreement. We've provided you sample templates here, and then you submit them here. Because once you submitted them here, then it means they're going live. We're setting them up, and now they're a client of yours, and we are implementing them. Okay, so who has any questions on, I guess, anything on submitting white label clients, on the RealXTraffic, which is not visible now, or on anything that we discussed today? Anyone have any questions, comments, concerns that I can help you with? All right, well, thanks everyone. I hope that you'll consider trying out RealXTraffic or a similar type of service to drive leads to your landing page. If you don't have a landing page, please get with Scott. He can help you get that created. And we want to make sure that you're generating an adult income. Our goal is to help you reach at least 1 new client a day, 30 a month, but minimally we need to hit at least 8 a month so we're all in compliance. Thanks everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.